Chief Solberg,
Here.
Kent Volkmer,
Present.
Joe Brocious, Sheriff Dedman, Director Eric Jorgensen, Colonel Jeffrey Glover.
Major Damon Cecil further.
Great, thank you. Rachel Mitchell.
Leslie Laments on behalf of Rachel Mitchell.
Great. Sheriff Russ Skinner.
James McFarland here for Russ Skinner.
Great. Chief Bob Ticer.
Here.
Great. Robert Smith.
Present.
And Brian Wright.
Present. Here.
Great. Thank you all. We have a quorum.
All right. Thank you all for being here. We will start with the chairman's report, and hopefully you all had a chance to review the board meeting minutes from March 29th. If there's any discussion, please speak up. Otherwise, could we get a motion to approve the minutes from March 29th to 24th?
Motion to approve the minutes from March 29th.
Thank you, Leslie. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Major. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next up, Director's Report, Director McGuffin.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members. I'll start out this morning with talking about an NICB report that came out. It's been now probably 2 months or so, but it is the 2023 year-end National Vehicle Theft Trend Report. And we like this report because it's done at a national level, so it allows Arizona to see where we place with other states. And we had good news in this report. Arizona placed 19th on the list for the rate of theft for 2023, and that is down from 15th in the nation in 2022. So obviously, the lower on this list you are, the better news it is. So they had us at 267 vehicles stolen for every 100,000 residents. And another interesting thing that they do with this report is they list, it looks like cities, but it's actually what they call CBSAs, which are core-based statistical areas. So it might include, for example, in Maricopa County, it wouldn't be just Phoenix, it would be really all of Maricopa County. The same with in Southern Arizona, it might list Tucson, but it's actually all of Pima County. And so Tucson was the highest rated city in Arizona as far as vehicle theft, and they came in at number 74 in the nation, which they had actually come up a little bit from the previous year, where I think they were 77. So that wasn't necessarily good news, but Phoenix actually dropped. They were 86 in 2022 and turned out to be 99 in 2023. So that was, again, really good news. Moving on to legislation that I've been talking about for the last few meetings, House Bill 2609, which is the fee overpayment bill, was signed on April 10th. And this new statute allows AATA to provide a refund to insurers in cases of overpayment. We don't have that happen very often, but we did have it happen a couple times this year. And so now we have a mechanism to reimburse those insurers if they prove to DIFI satisfaction and AATA satisfaction that they did in fact overpay. As you probably know, the state budget was signed, and I had been mentioning to the board at the last few meetings that there was talk of a $7.3 million fund sweep from the auto theft fund, and unfortunately, as of June 18th, when it was signed, they actually transferred out $8.8 million. So a little bit worse than what we had expected, and worse than what we had seen in the executive budget going forward in January. But we do project ending this fiscal year with 11.7 million in the fund balance. And after the transfer, that will leave just under $3 million in the fund. So on a positive note, the authority still collects more than what we're appropriated to spend. So while this is not positive news, we don't see it as negatively impacting any programs going forward. Mr. Volkmer.
That was just a one-time sweep, though, correct? There wasn't a bill to do an ongoing. It was just a one-time budgetary gap filler.
Mr. Volkmer, members, that is correct. These are one-time sweeps. We have seen these before. We've never seen this amount of money come out of the fund before, but we've seen the fund transfers for budget stabilization in, I think, like 2009, around that time frame. And then we've seen money come out for the Border Strike Task Force when it was implemented by DPS. So not unusual. The only thing really unusual about this one is the amount. All right, so kind of carrying forward with some budget news. You know, we're just about to go into fiscal year 25, but we're already looking forward now to fiscal year 26, because this is the time of year where we start working on budget requests to submit to the governor's office. Unless I hear differently, my plan going forward is to do the same budget requests that I did last year, which were unsuccessful in making it into the governor's budget. But they are the vertical prosecution program. We did really well with that a year ago, where we got almost full funding for the agencies that participate in that program. With the exception of Maricopa County, we still run short with them. And so the request that I'll submit this year will be an effort to get them the staffing and funding that they need to fully fund the positions that they have on board. The second request that I'll make is, once again, for law enforcement grants. You'll be doing those grant awards today, and you'll see that we had grants totaling a little over $145,000 for requests, and we have less than $70,000 based on our appropriation limit to fund those. So we would like to expand that program by having more of an appropriation in there. We generally start with about $26,000 that we have available, which is really a small amount. But any money that we can pull throughout the year to put into that pot of money to expand that, we have done. So that's why we have about $70,000 this year, up from the $26,000. Right. The ACT enhancements that we talked about last meeting have not come to fruition because DPS is still in a blackout, which means no changes can be made to that system. The one thing that we are doing, though, in this kind of waiting period, we have been reluctant to push this out to agencies because of the no ability to verify the terminal operator certification for that information. But we are going to initiate it within the Vehicle Theft Task Force to all of those detectives. So this will be kind of a soft launch in a sense, and will allow us to let those detectives use the system. Right now, they rely on their analyst within DPS, and sometimes the analyst here at the Auto Theft Authority. So this will be a good kind of start for us, and should allow a little maybe smoother transition once we do get the TALK certification enhancement to ACT. And then the newsletter, we have the fourth quarter newsletter coming out. It will be sent out in early July. The main topic for this quarter is to highlight the repatriation activities of the Border Liaison Unit. That unit is embedded within the Vehicle Theft Task Force, although they are not on task force funding. They are actually on DPS funding, but their primary role is to repatriate vehicles which are U.S. stolens taken into Mexico, located in Mexico by Mexican law enforcement, And then there's a whole process to bring those vehicles back into the U.S. And so it's an interesting story. And if you have a chance to read the newsletter, you can read more about that. And then just some more actually good news when it comes to auto theft. Kia and Hyundai, it's kind of an ongoing topic, of course. Kia and Hyundai have been less than 200 thefts for May, and it looks like it's trending that same way for June, even though June's not complete yet. As a reminder, from July through December, we were over 400 thefts for those two makes. So as we finish like the last half of 2023, over 400, and the 2024 numbers have been half of that. Some of those have been less than 200, and that's what May was, and we expect June to be the same. Additionally, some numbers that are looking really good, which is our year to date. We are, for the first almost 6 months of calendar year 2024, we are down 17% in stolens from 2023. And so we were kind of curious, why we're seeing this. It's a significant decrease. The only other state that can really speak to this type of an issue is Colorado, because they use the ACT system as well. And Mary made a call up there. They are seeing numbers even greater than ours, but they were number 2 in the nation last year for rate of theft. So they had a lot of room to decrease. But they're seeing about a 30% decrease in 2024. So I tend to think that it's probably something that is not necessarily state specific. It's probably more has to do with the economy and things like that. Colorado offered some of their thoughts on why they were seeing the decrease, but they did not have anything that was solid. It was more anecdotal in nature for things that are going on in Colorado. But anyway, overall, it's really good news, and it seems to be a pretty solid trend. It's not just a month or two. We're seeing it now for 6 months. So, and then my last item is year-end ISA to DPS. This would be the first one of this fiscal year. If you'll recall, we generally do one in January, but because of the funding that the task force was holding, we decided not to do one then. But there appears to be a need now for vehicle purchase and build-up. And so DPS has requested $200,000. Normally we do $335,000, but it looks like $200,000 will be sufficient for this year. And with that, I am requesting board approval for an ISA between ATA and DPS in the amount of $200,000.
Thank you, Director McGuffin. Can we get a motion to approve the $200,000 ISA from ATA to DPS?
Mr. Chairman, it's Major C, so I'll just advise you I'm going to accuse myself since we will be the recipients of this if it's approved.
Thank you, Major. I forgot. Kent, your motion?
I'll make the motion that we.
Thank you. Can we get a second?
I'll second it.
Second.
Thank you. I think McFarland beat you. All right. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And for the record, Major Cecil abstained. All right, Director McGuffin, thank you for your report.
Mr. Chairman, members, that does conclude my report, and I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any questions? All right, hearing none, thank you. Next up is our financial update, Frank Savalas.
Good morning, members of the board. Just let me know if I kind of glitch out. It seems like my internet is acting up right now. All right, I'm going to present my screen. Give it a second. Okay, so at the end of May, the fund balance at the end of May of this year was $11,981,411. Revenue that we've received, all revenue that we received so far for this budget year has been $7,779,091. I will talk about the assessment, comparing these two assessment periods versus what occurred in FY23. We did see an increase. It was about a 0.5% increase between the two budget years. So it's about like $33,000 difference. So we are going to keep the same numbers that we had this year in collection rolling into FY25, and I'll show that in my expenditure plan for FY25. We spent about $95,000 for the ACT support, the $54,988. We are just it's going to go back to the fund balance because we were not able to do the CPI updates, as Director McGuffin stated. We have spent $270,000 so far with our appropriation. We do have about $428,690 available, which I will share with you here in a minute in our expenditure plan for FY24. And we have spent over $5,839 or $839,979 in grant payouts. We still have about $70,000 that we will be granting out, which Ms. Armstrong will be sharing how we will be doing that. And then the last is we still have our SIMS fund of $1,432. So with that, I'm going to switch over to the expenditure plan for FY24. Give me a second so I can zoom in. Right now, we will be giving back about $313,000 from our appropriation for FY24. The way I have this structured is a little different than normal because of the $8.8 million transfer. I'm not 100% positive if it's going to happen the end of this budget year or it's going to be done at the beginning of FY25. So you're going to see it done two different ways here in a second. But I have the $8.8 million being transferred to the governor's office here, leaving us with $2.9 million to go into FY25. The $70,000, like I said, is what we're going to be granting out, and more to come from Ms. Armstrong on that. And then Director McGuffin did talk about the $200,000 going to DPS as an ISA. Are there any questions about the expenditure plan for FY24? None? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go into FY25s, which I will need a board approval on this one. Like I stated, we're going to keep this what we received for FY24 for revenue the same. There is one thing I'm not sure of yet, which is the investment income. We've been averaging about $40,000 month over month. We won't know if that's going to continue until probably late August. So I'm just going to keep it like that for right now. We will be doing a audit with Heimfeld and Meach sometime in FY25, because every 2 years we're required to have us be audited. As was stated before, we have about $26,000 that we'll be able to grant out to other grantees for maybe law enforcement purposes or education. That's just our standard number. It could change depending on how the vertical prosecutors do with their grants. If there's any funds that they are not able to spend, might increase that number. Right down here is the payments for ACT. I did include us moving forward with CPI at some point next budget year, just not sure what time frame that's going to be. But I kept the numbers standard right now for the support payment because we're still working with the vendor on getting our contract. We have the DPS grants. I have about a $365,000, a little bit more than normal, but I just wanted to have that in there just in case. That's because the task force didn't get the fuel that they did in FY24. So just in case they need help with fuel, we have it already listed down here. Now, this is where I did it a little differently. I have us bringing over 11.7 million and then taking out the 8.8 million at the beginning of FY25. And as you can see, as we move throughout the whole budget year, I'm projecting us to finish with $3.9 million in the fund balance. It's going to be a slow growth moving forward with our fund. Any questions about the FY25 expenditure plan? Hearing none, I do need our approval on the expenditure amount as I have stated.
Can we get a motion for the FY25 spending plan?
I'll make a motion to approve the FY25 spending plan.
Thank you, James. Second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Kent. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you.
Okay. I don't think I need our approval for the FY24 expenditure plan because I was just updating everybody on it. So.
Okay, I'm sorry. Good, I'm together. Can I get a motion to approve the FY24 update on the spending plan?
I'll make the same motion for the FY24 spending plan.
Thank you, James, and Kent. I got you as your second.
Yep.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thank you, Frank. Anything else?
Nope, that's it. That concludes my report.
All right. Thank you. Anne, update on public awareness and grant programs.
Right. Grant programs, we will get into that here shortly. April and May, I just wanted to report a couple of things that we've been working on. April and May, staff from the Auto Theft Authority and the Fraud Unit were sponsors and attendees for two statewide conferences. One was the 2024 ACOP conference in Prescott, and we had staff attend and provide demonstrations on the ACT crime, the auto crime tracking database. The Crime Prevention Association, we were sponsors for that, and we staffed that for 3 days and had a really good attendance. As Jamie mentioned, we're about to put out our July newsletter. Also recently, we produced and updated our current at a glance document, which we distributed at the Crime Prevention Conference in May. We ran several social media campaigns, motorcycle theft prevention, current stats and trends that we were able to pull from ACT database. Jamie conducted 2 on-camera media interviews, and we issued a press release, as Jamie mentioned, about the 2023 auto theft decline. If you're not on our newsletter list and you want to be, just shoot me an email after the meeting and I'll make sure to get you added before we do our next newsletter. Our next round of grant contract compliance reviews will be happening this summer, and we'll present those at our September board meeting. So unless there are any questions, that concludes my report.
All right. Thank you, Ann. Appreciate it. All right. Next up is the Law Enforcement Subcommittee report. We do have items to discuss today. We met on Tuesday to review these grants. Ann, if you could go through the grants.
Sure thing. Thank you, Chief. As Chief mentioned, we met Tuesday. The Law Enforcement Subcommittee met Tuesday to review the grants. We have $70,000 available. We received 8 total grants in the amount of $145,415. So total staff and subcommittee recommendation is funding all 8 of those for a total of $69,884. The first grant I'll go through briefly is Apache Junction Police Department. Staff and subcommittee recommendation is $10,500 for their Motorola LPR cameras in their jurisdiction. Those cameras will identify and recover stolen vehicles. So subcommittee recommendation is $10,500. Avondale Police Department staff and subcommittee recommendation is $6,050. That request will fund 1 grappler package to pilot this project in Avondale, determine the use and effectiveness for vehicle crime apprehensions. Gila County Sheriff's Office, staff recommendation and subcommittee recommendation, $9,700. Request is for an LPR system to be deployed just north of the Highway 188 and Highway 87 junction on the southwestern end of Gila County. And again, recommendation was $9,700. Glendale Police Department, $20,000 request, staff and The subcommittee recommended full funding for that, and that's a one LPR system build out and costs for a Glendale PD undercover vehicle to identify and recover stolen vehicles. Maricopa County Attorney's Office staff subcommittee recommendation $1,214.43. That is a travel reimbursement for Prosecutor Frank Woods's training in New Mexico, multi-state ATPA meeting that we hosted. Oro Valley Police Department staff and subcommittee recommendation $6,050. Staff recommendation is to fund one grappler package to pilot this in Oro Valley, just like Avondale, and determine the effectiveness. Peoria Police Department staff recommendation and subcommittee recommendation $3,341.64. The request was for 3 detectives to attend the WASATI training in Palm Springs in September. Tombstone Marshal's Office, staff recommendation and subcommittee recommendation, $13,000. That's for an LPR system, which is part of a multi-regional project to identify and recover stolen vehicles. And that is the last one. As I mentioned, all total $69,884. And we'll need a motion for those. Maricopa County Attorney's Office is just the one we'll need a recusal on.
Yep. Excuse me. All right. So if we get a motion for items 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, not voting on this with for Maricopa County Attorney's Office, we'll do that separately. We can get a motion for all of those except for number 5. Thank you. That was Chief Tyser. Second. Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Major Cecil. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Now, if we could get a motion to approve, and Wesley Lemans will be abstaining from this vote. Can we get a motion to approve the Maricopa County Attorney's Office grant? Thank you, Chief Tyser. Second. Kent Volkmer, second. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. And the vertical prosecution grants.
All right. Vertical prosecution grants for fiscal year 25. We had requests totaling $1,539,121. The total available now that the budget has been approved is $1,362,093. Basically, everybody is being kept at the same level as they were for fiscal year 24. So we'll start with La Paz. La Paz County Attorney's Office subcommittee recommendation is $139,393. Maricopa County Attorney's Office subcommittee recommendation is $291,399. Mojave County Attorney's Office $151,456. Staff recommendation. Pima County $358,832. Pinal County $340,218. Subcommittee recommendation, and Santa Cruz $80,795. All total request is the $1,362,093.
All right, thank you. Should be able to do this with 3 different motions. The first motion, if we could get a motion for, and this will be for everybody, La Paz County, Mojave County, Pima County, and Santa Cruz County. Can I get a motion for that?
Motion.
Thank you, Leslie. Can we get a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, McFarland. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. All right, the next one will be Maricopa County Attorney's Office, and Wesley will be abstaining from this. Can we get a motion for Maricopa County Attorney grant?
So moved.
Kent, thank you. Second. Chief Cecil, I saw you go live. Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, thank you. Leslie, you're back in. Kent, you're out. Can we get a motion for Pinal County Attorney's Office?
Motion for Pinal County.
Thank you, Leslie. Can we get a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Damon. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Ann, anything else? Oh yeah, you got the vehicle theft task force grant.
Vehicle theft task force grant. Their total request was $4,910,000. What is available is $4,452,600. Subcommittee recommendation is $4.452,600 for fiscal year 25.
Thank you. Major Cecil will have to abstain from this vote. If we could get a motion to approve the vehicle theft task force grant.
So moved.
Thank you, Kent. Can I get a second?
Second.
Leslie, thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. Ann, anything else?
That concludes the grant presentation.
All right, appreciate it. Robert Smith, any public awareness subcommittee reports?
Nothing to add, Chief.
Thank you, sir. Vertical prosecution subcommittee and auto theft prosecutors report. We'll start with Leslie, the Maricopa County Attorney's Office.
I actually don't have anything this month.
Oh.
Committee members. But
All
thank
right.
you.
Sounds good. Ann, I'll let you work off your list because I don't have any other names.
Hi, gosh, let me see. Do we have anyone? I don't think anyone. Do we have anyone from Mojave County with us? I don't think so.
So, Ann, just so you know, this is APAC's going on right now, which is our annual prosecuting conference. So
Right.
most of us are sitting here in Wild Horse Pass right now.
Oh, okay. That's a great place for a conference. Okay, so I guess you might be the only one. Kent, do you have a presentation, or maybe one of your prosecutors might be on the phone?
I don't believe so. I think Andrew's here. I was sitting in. He
okay.
actually must have left with me because we were sitting in a mental health presentation at the same time.
Yes. Andrew for the Pinal County Vehicular Crimes Bureau. We had 2 trials these past 2 weeks related to vehicular theft. We got convictions in both of those. My colleague Cameron Pat, he's amassed about almost $80,000 in restitution for this month. That's what we have to report for this time.
Great. Thanks,
I would
Andrew.
note they were Andrew's trials. He's being a little humble here, so.
I believe that is it. Do we actually do we still have Pat from Santa Cruz on the phone?
Yes, I am.
Did you have any update or any report, Pat?
No, I sure don't at the moment.
Okay. Great. All right. I believe that's everybody.
All right, thank you. Next up is the Arizona Vehicle Theft Task Force report, and I believe Sergeant Kramer is filling in for Captain Ackman.
I am. Can you hear me?
Yep. It's all yours.
All right, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, the following are stolen vehicles, drug seizures, and arrest for March 1st, 24 through May 31st, 24. The task force recovered 590 stolen vehicles valued at approximately $13,662,201 with 4 arrests with that, or 104 arrests. 33 of those 104 arrests had drug charges. Task force seized approximately 2 ounces of heroin, 1 ounce of cocaine, 1.6 pounds of meth, 1.3 pounds of fentanyl, and 32.2 grams of marijuana. The task force served 12 residential and business structure search warrants, 1 vehicle search warrant, and 13 electronic search warrants. The task force had 1,772 other agency assists, and the task force seized 16 weapons, which 2 of them came back stolen. For staffing during that time period, DPS sergeant was transferred out of the task force, and 2 new DPS sergeants, to include myself, joined the task force during this time period. So one of the events that the task force did on March 8th, vehicle task force detectives, along with Yuma PD and Yuma Get 'em, conducted a VIN etching event in Target parking lot in Yuma. A total of 33 vehicles were etched. Lastly, the 4 events that we're going to go over to discuss regarding task force investigations. The first was task force detectives served a search warrant at a business in Mesa. Detectives were able to locate 2 stolen vehicles, a partially chopped 1997 Ford F-350 and a 2011 F-250. 7 guns were recovered, 1 which was stolen. 5.25 ounces of meth was seized. 4 suspects were arrested on a variety of charges to include theft of means of transportation, possession of dangerous drugs, sales of dangerous drugs, misconduct involving weapons, and outstanding warrants. This was the second search warrant served at this business by the task force in less than 4 weeks. The second, task force detectives conducted a buy-bust operation and served a search warrant on a storage unit in Phoenix. Detectives recovered a 1971 Ferrari Daytona and a 1981 Ferrari Boxer frame, and all the parts to both dismantled vehicles totaling approximately $800,000. The suspect was arrested on theft of means of transportation, traffic and stolen property, fraudulent documents, and fraud. California Trap Unit is currently working a similar case on the same suspect. The third, task force detectives conducted a business inspection, which led to a search warrant on the business. Detectives located 2 stolen vehicles, 4 stolen motors, $13,913 was also seized. 3 suspects were arrested on multiple felony charges to include operating a chop shop and felony arrest warrants. The last, task force detectives surveilled an occupied stolen 2022 KTM motorcycle to a residence in Mesa. The search warrant was authored and served at the residence. Detectives seized the stolen motorcycle, seized 1,383 fentanyl pills, a half pound of meth, 7 grams of cocaine, and $1,068. 3 suspects were arrested in that on multiple felony charges and outstanding warrants. That concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Any questions? All right. Welcome to the task force, Sergeant Kramer.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Call to the public. Is there anyone from the public that wishes to make any comments? All right. Hearing none. Reports on current events or matters of interest. All right. Not hearing any of those either. Our next meeting is September 20th at 10 a.m. Again, virtual. Without no one has anything else, we will adjourn. If I can get a motion to adjourn. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you, Kent. And I'll go ahead and second this one. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right. Any opposed? All right. See you guys in September. Have a good summer.
Stay
Bye,
safe,
you too.
everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.